In this video, I brought on Kevin, and Joshua is going to jump on in a bit as well. He is the co-founder and CSO, Chief Strategy Officer at Leverage AI. They built a $1 million company helping sales companies build systems that basically remove all the grunt work for salespeople and make them more millions. They've been using Poppy AI for about a month now. Within just a couple of days of using, they've been able to generate $75,000.
Poppy is one of the tools that has helped us not only close more deals, which we'll get into in a second, but make our job in helping our clients stay ahead of the AI curve.
As great as Poppy is, one of the best tools I've ever seen for scripting and content creation and all of that good stuff that is working for everyone else. We booked this Google Doc to that sales call, and that Google Doc was 99% dialed in before we had to hop on the sales call. We just added a couple little tweaks, and it closed a $75,000 deal for us. How time crunched we were. If we tried to put that Google Doc together ourselves, we would not have closed that. Poppy is so powerful that I just told all my clients and my team that I am taking a week off to only focus on building shit out in Poppy. Large language models are built to be a jack of all trades, master of none. Poppy is built to leverage that information to be a master of whatever you try to build with. If I dedicate a week to just Poppy, I'm going to 3 to 5x my business at minimum over the course of the next 60 to 90 days.
Thank you so much for hopping on, Kevin and Joshua. Super excited to have you guys on. And, from what I've heard, you guys have done some really crazy shit with Poppy. And, you yourself have scaled your guys' company from, I don't know, you guys give me the number on this call. But yeah, give us an intro about who you guys are, what you guys do, and then, we'll go from there.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having us, man. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, real quick, who we are, what we do. Joshua and I have combined sales experience of over 30 years. We met running a 7-figure sales team. He was the sales manager, and I was the closer. This all started as our company, Leverage AI, started as just trying to solve an internal problem within our sales team. We're talking back before OpenAI had any API stuff going on. I used to work for Matt Decino for about a year. Matt Decino is the owner of HL Pro Tools and a company called ZappyChat. And so what they were selling when I was working for them before OpenAI came out with their API and all that stuff was basically just a very robust Google Dialog flow. So basically, if you remember, IFT, that company, if this then that, that would create logic branches. So similar to a GHL workflow, right? But it was very robust, and the sole purpose of it was to set appointments via text, right? And so when I worked for him, my calendar was packed, 16 calls a day, every day, and we had no setters. And that was 2022 or so, maybe 21. And then I left that company after a year because I wanted to sell higher ticket. And, I'd just come off of an entrepreneurial journey, pre-COVID, had a successful e-commerce business in the top 1% of all Shopify stores. But then COVID and all kinds of other stuff happened. So I went back to sales, and that's when I started working for Matt. And then when Joshua and I met, now I had just come from my first time back in a sales role in 8 or 9 years, working for Matt, where I had no appointment setters and my calendar was always packed, right? Then I meet Joshua and I'm like, all right, awesome. We're going to sell 10K was the minimum we were selling, upwards of 30, 60K. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to make so much more money. But the internal process of manual appointment setters, actual people in the DMs, managing 3, 6, 10 setters on the sales team, and then the churn and burn of that pretty much every 90 days on a cycle, which was a constant issue because it's this person every 90 days, and then we bring up it was basically a constant problem. And because anybody who's good enough to be a closer just joins as a setter to get into a closer role, and everybody who's not good enough to be a setter ends up getting fired. And so it was just this churn and burn thing. And not only that internally, but we had 200-300 clients that we were recruiting, training, and placing with human appointment setters as well. So it was an exponential issue for all our clients as well. And so I went to Joshua and the team over there, and I'm like, look, I used to work over here. This is what I had when I worked over there. The company wasn't totally on board for it, but Joshua and I were like, we need to do this. So we spent our own money. about 6 grand to
Hmm.
basically replace the appointment setters on our team and create a service that we could do it for our clients.
Hmm.
But this was tech built by tech people, not
Yeah.
by salespeople. So when we spent the 6 grand, but then we spent about the next 10 months learning and figuring out how we could dial it in because it didn't have the sales psychology necessary to actually set appointments because we were working for a coaching company. And so like coaching
Right.
requires a lot more emotional nuance and stuff in the setting process, right? There's a lot more,
Yep.
psychology involved. Um,
Hmm.
versus just selling like a product or a service that actually sells itself and you're just setting someone on an appointment path, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
ultimately we became accidental experts on this thing right before
Yeah.
for like the 10 months leading up to OpenAI opening their API integration. And then everything completely
Mm.
blew up from there. That was like November of 2023. Um,
Yeah.
and then we became support partners for that company's AppyChat um, because they started taking on like 10x more users because of all the buzz with OpenAI. And
Yep.
they didn't have the staff to be able, they were churning at like 50%, right? So we came
Yeah.
in, we started running 3 support calls a week, and our relationship with them was we can sell our voice AI to all their users, and we can sell custom built AI solutions, just a done for you system. And so
Hmm.
that was the first year of our business, just supporting their community and making a lot of money, getting amazing results for all their users. And then ultimately that led to us running an AI support call for the entire high level community,
Yeah.
starting at November of last year. Um,
Hmm.
and where we're at now, which is, we started using Poppy maybe less than a month ago. And the
Yeah.
first use case that we built out for Poppy, we'll get into a little bit more detail about that. But
Hmm.
that's kind of the backstory of who we are,
Yeah.
and why we're here. And then we can get into more details about the Poppy stuff.
That's amazing. And it's almost like you guys came into the AI space, or like that space like right on time. It's like you guys were like innovating around kind of like AI before AI even existed.
Well,
And then yeah.
coincidentally enough, your last interview with Travis Stevenson, I
Uh-huh.
was in his program pre-COVID, and what the program
Oh
revolved
shit.
around was selling messenger chatbots as an agency service to e-commerce stores and stuff like that. So I actually my in like automations as a service and stuff,
Yeah.
my experience goes back almost actually, I mean the first so a friend of mine lived in my house for 3 months
Okay.
custom coding the first we didn't come to market with it. We just used it for our e-commerce business. But before
Uh-huh.
any auto post, like auto like, auto comment Instagram bots existed, we
Yeah.
spent 3 months custom building our own. Um, so that was like
Wow.
because back then it was like 2015 when I started my first business on Instagram and I was
Uh-huh.
learning Instagram marketing. And I used
Yeah.
Instagress, which was just a $10 a month tool that would just go like and comment on people's posts on Instagram. And I used
Uh-huh.
that $10 a month tool to make over 100 grand in less than like 9 months on Instagram back in like 2015. And so I'm like,
That
okay,
is
if I can
crazy
do that with
sick.
just this $10 a month tool, I need to build out something. There wasn't anything like it yet. I'm like, I need to be able
Yeah.
to post content to multiple accounts, like, comment, different hashtags, all that.
Hmm.
So we custom built it. So that actually was my first, uh, you know, venture into building out custom things like this.
Yeah.
And then, and that was in the sneaker space. All I was doing, so I, I found a guy on Instagram that built a bot that could that
Uh-huh.
had a 98% success rate pinging the Nike add to cart button to get sneakers into your Nike
Oh,
cart. And so I was just selling add to cart service to get limited release sneakers into people's carts, and they were just paying a middleman fee to me.
that is so crazy. It's almost like you went out to like build intelligent systems before intelligent systems existed. It's
Yeah,
like
this was a
you
decade ago.
exactly. It's like you guys you were creating like the AI algorithm in like your own style. It's like if
Mhm.
this then that kind of a
Absolutely.
philosophy. And
Mhm.
then when it's like when AI ended up coming out, like when GPT came out,
Yep.
it basically took all of your experience, all of your knowledge, and just like 10 or 100x
Well,
like what you were providing in terms of
when you
value.
combine my automation experience, my
Yeah.
Instagram marketing experience, because I was in the top. So that tool that we built, by the way, that
Yeah.
tool, that custom built tool that we were only using for
Hmm.
ourselves and we never ended up coming to market with,
Yeah.
that tool is the reason I became I was a Shopify store in the top 1% of traffic for all Shopify stores in the world. So like I was driving
Damn.
hundreds of thousands of visitors to my store every month from that one tool
Yeah.
custom built out, competing with like I don't know what were the big stores back then. Maybe Kylie Cosmetics and stuff didn't exist yet.
Uh-huh.
But whoever was the top 1% of Shopify stores in like 2016 to 2018 or so,
Yeah.
I was in that top 1% for traffic. From the
That is
tool I
insane.
custom built with my friend in my living room.
That is so insane. And since then, you've built Leverage AI. What
Mhm.
does Leverage AI specifically do? Like, who do you guys service,
Yeah,
and what systems, or like, what do you guys do with
yeah,
Leverage AI with you and Joshua?
yeah. So the again, the combined experience with the traffic, the conversion rate
Yeah.
optimization, like that's the main thing, right? Our sales experience
Yep.
combined and the conversion rate optimization experience that I have from
Yep.
Shopify, right? If you're
Mm-hmm.
driving hundreds of thousands of visitors every month, a
Yeah.
1% increase in conversions equals multiple five figures
That's
every month in
Yep.
additional revenue,
Correct.
right? So I'll
Yep.
let Joshua, because I've been talking so much more than him, I'll let Joshua explain what we currently do for our clients, and then we can
Yeah.
go from there.
Perfect.
What's up, guys? Thanks for that intro, Kevin.
Hey.
First,
Um, man, what do we do for our clients? Um, that's a great, very loaded question. We basically reverse engineer their entire sales operation with
Mm-hmm.
AI, a custom-built AI sales infrastructure on the
Mm-hmm.
voice and the chat side. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it typically looks like we on average we work with our clients in 90-day sprints.
Mm-hmm.
And then we work with them in, like I said, reverse engineering what's already working inside
Yep.
their sales process.
Mm-hmm.
And then with mine and Kevin's combined, over 3 decades of sales and marketing and conversion rate
Mm-hmm.
optimization, obviously he has the larger bulk of that. I am,
Yeah.
some people still think that I am a child.
How
I'm
old are you, by
26.
the way?
I'm 26, by the way. I was about to say,
Okay.
just for anybody who's curious, I'm not 14. Um, so, you know, what that entails is there's a he alluded to it. There
Yeah.
is a tech perspective
Mm-hmm.
to building AI systems. We say that tech
Mm-hmm.
people build tech that works, but salespeople build tech
Correct.
that converts.
Correct.
And we have one of the largest responsibilities that we have for the systems that we build is making sure that the AI is communicating up to a standard of excellence that
Mm-hmm.
we would like if we were to come into our clients' businesses as just sales coaches, that this
Yep.
would be the kind of scripting and the type of languaging that we would instruct their sales reps to use. The only difference
Mm-hmm.
is that instead of training a human, we're
Right.
training a bot. And
Correct.
that requires a lot of testing and iterating. And so we really get into the trenches and make sure that what we build for our clients is not only sound good and is impressive, but
Mm-hmm.
that it's to a degree of standard that is excellent and will produce conversions
Right.
at the same level or better than what their current sales team is doing. And the whole premise
Yeah.
there is to take the Pareto principle to 80% of the manual labor that is the grunt work of the sales
Yep.
process, and then offload that to the AI so that the people that
Mm-hmm.
are your best players can
Yep.
focus on the 20% of the work that actually moves the needle forward for their commission, for the revenue for the company. And so that's
100%.
what we do, and we just
Mm-hmm.
we just make sure that the system is in harmony with their
Mm-hmm.
business and that they know how
Yep.
to operate it and that they
Mm-hmm.
continue growing with it. As we know, AI is
Mm-hmm.
evolving fast and it
Yeah.
requires ongoing maintenance and upkeep to be able to
Yep.
keep our clients up to speed with
Mm-hmm.
all the changes that are happening. And
Yeah.
so, part of what we do is we work ongoing with our clients to ensure
Mm-hmm.
that once it's set up, that it stays up to speed, and that
Mm-hmm.
they stay ahead of the curve. And,
Right.
Poppy is part of that. Poppy is one
Yeah.
of the tools that has helped us not only close more deals, which we'll get into in a second, but make our
Yeah.
job in helping our clients stay ahead of the AI curve a lot easier on us
Mm-hmm.
and on them.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do in a nutshell, man. We're just here to make our
Mm-hmm.
clients more money than they pay
Yeah.
us with AI. And that ranges, we have a lot of different ways in which we interact with our customers.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna break this down for certain people who are just like, let's say, new to AI. Let's break it down to like two things. This is what it looks like, let's say, the sales cycle with Leverage AI, and this is what the sales cycle looks without Leverage AI. And like maybe like feel free to name drop people you've worked with. You know, like, hey, we worked with Grant Cardone, build a sales system. So something like that, like who are like the biggest clients, and then also like drop like what are your revenue numbers and like how things have changed.
Yeah. I'm not going to name drop any clients, but I will. I'll tell you this.
Okay.
We have a client that's $150 million a year company. When
Okay.
they came to us, this is about 8 months ago now, and the initial project was only for 60 days. So you can obviously do the math on how valuable we are ongoing to them, because they continue to work with us, and we've done additional projects since then. But they're a $150 million a year company. They have a 55-person sales team, and a little less than a year ago, they were going to hire 30 to 50 more salespeople. And the reason for that is because over the course of the past 3 years, they compete on leads with other business lenders. They're an alternative business lending company. Okay, they compete on their leads with about 4 to 5 other business lenders. So speed to lead is very important to them, and the shortest sales cycle as possible, because ultimately they're getting new leads every day, right? So with about 10 to 12,000 new leads coming in every month, if a lead isn't converting to, I wouldn't necessarily call it a sale because they're a business lender, but to funded, right? If that person isn't able to get funding or just not responsive enough over the course of the first 2 weeks of being a lead, they have to continue to work the new leads every day, right? So their sales team had accumulated 600,000, close to 600,000 leads that the company paid for that just weren't being worked over the past 3 years, because of the new leads coming in every month. There wasn't enough bandwidth for it. So their solution was, we're going to hire 30 to 50 more salespeople. And luckily for them, they got in front of us at that critical time where they were about to spend millions of dollars to, basically double their sales team. And instead, over the course of the next 60 days, we built out an AI system to re-engage all of those 600,000 leads, scrub the list to make sure that they weren't getting hit with any like DND flags or anything like that, re-qualify them, nurture them, book them onto the sales team's calendar, and over the course of the next 70 days or so, they realized an additional $1 million in revenue that came from that dead list. And we just stopped tracking after 1 million because that was good enough for me. I don't know what that number is now because I haven't asked in months. But and so ultimately, here's 2 things that happened. We saved them millions of dollars with hiring, training, onboarding, turning, whatever that would have came from all of that, which is hiring 50 new people. The other thing is this, though. Joshua and I didn't get into this business to replace salespeople. We got into this business to create larger commission opportunities and take away the big busy work of being a salesperson so that salespeople can make more money in the 40, 50 hours that they spend doing their job, and they can spend that time and energy. Everybody has enough bandwidth in a week to do X, Y, Z. So we just take out X and Y so they can focus only on Z with 100% of their energy. So now that 55-person sales team that got that company to $150 million over the past however many years, right? Now they're being rewarded exponentially for their efforts in their work week, right? Because now they have more opportunities on their calendar, less busy work. So their commission is going up, 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 and up.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good, Joshua. Thanks for hopping on, man. All right. So let's continue. So basically, you saved them millions and you also made them an extra million in just 70 days. And you did it by building an AI system. And now this is just like me selfishly just trying to understand, like, how does this system work? Is it like, when you say these systems, is it like email automations where they like follow up with these leads and like it's like trained by AI to understand like, hey, his name is Kevin. Kevin does X, Y, and Z, and like this is the type of messaging that you need to send, or is it like just more complicated than just that?
It's definitely far
Like
more
how? Yeah,
complicated than that. Um,
yeah.
so,
Okay.
and the reason for that is, right, like anybody who has any experience with using, like, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
let's see, what would be one of the most common GHL, for example, right? We
Mm-hmm.
we run a weekly support call every Thursday with the entire
Yeah.
high level community, right? Where we work directly with
Mm-hmm.
high level and
Yeah.
their users, 1.3 million or whatever amount of users they have. They come to a
Yeah.
support call with us every Thursday to talk about their
Mm-hmm.
AI products and how they can
Right.
implement them and use them in their business, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, if you were to go in and just create an AI chatbot with high
Yeah.
level, um,
Mm-hmm.
the it's like you can give a samurai sword to a 5-year-old, or you can
Mm-hmm.
give it to a master ninja who has been practicing with it for decades, right? What
Right.
do you think the
Yeah.
effectiveness of that same sword is going to be from one to the other?
Yeah.
That's ultimately what we're
Oh.
talking about here. Is the
Yeah.
is the understanding of the customer sales cycle, our client sales
Yeah.
cycle, and knowing where to leverage AI, where not to leverage AI,
Mm-hmm.
which is almost
Yeah.
actually not even almost, it is absolutely more important than where to leverage it.
Right.
Because if you use AI in the
Correct.
wrong places, you're going to reduce conversions, you're going to piss off customers. And
Correct.
so ultimately, that's really what it comes down to. It's very custom. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
testing and iterations. We start in a
Yeah.
sandbox environment and then we ramp up the live
Mm-hmm.
leads. Um,
Mm-hmm.
very white glove, and it's different
Got
from
it.
client to
Understood.
client. Extremely different.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Now, where does Poppy come into play with all of this?
Yeah,
Now, Poppy is like not a sales AI tool, right? It's
it is
completely
now,
different. We market it. It is now exactly. You're right.
and
Like
you'll
we
see
market it
more
for
and
like
more that
content.
it is based on what we build
Exactly.
together. But yeah, no, I know. Um,
Exactly. So it's like we market it for content creators, we market it for
mhm,
marketers and everything.
mhm.
Now, how did it help you guys? And also, like, how did you decide like you need to use Poppy because like we're marketing it for a completely different audience? How did you get to it, and then like how has it helped you guys?
Yeah, I mean, this kind of goes back to like, I don't know. I honestly believe I'm a man of faith, and I believe that one of my God-given talents is the
Mm-hmm.
ability to see what is working in other
Yeah.
markets and like almost
Mm-hmm.
amalgamate or like uh or transform it into something that can work in a different market, right? And that is
Right.
like the $10 a month tool that I was using and turning it into something that made me 6 figures, right? That's
Yeah.
just a resourcefulness and an eye that I have for things. And
Yeah.
so, um, as great as Poppy is, and it absolutely is great,
Mm-hmm.
one of the best tools I've ever seen for
Mm-hmm.
scripting and content creation and all of that good stuff that is working for everyone else. And the reason that I was
Right.
drawn into Poppy. But for me,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, what are the biggest bottlenecks in my current day? And how can I leverage
Yeah.
this tool to create something that can buy back my time? Right.
Right.
And right
Yeah.
now it's not marketing because we are
Mm-hmm.
so good at what we do. We haven't run a dime in
Yeah.
paid ads. We have no organic social media presence whatsoever. And we've made
Yeah.
close to $1 million at this point in our business in the first year. Because we're so good,
Wow.
we get all the referrals that we get. Everything is referral based, revenue share partners,
Right.
like people just send us business. So we don't run
Right.
any organic or paid marketing.
Yeah.
So I have a use for Poppy in that aspect
Mm-hmm.
of things in the future. But as of right now, the
Yep.
biggest bottleneck in my daily workflow to
Mm-hmm.
produce more revenue and buy back my time is
Mm-hmm.
the sales cycle for my
Right.
internal things that I do in a sales cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So we're very
Yep.
high ticket. Our minimum price
Yep.
to work with us is 25K. And so my sales
Yep.
cycle is a 2 call close. We do a
Mm-hmm.
discovery call and then we go
Yep.
very deep on that discovery call. And then once we get
Mm-hmm.
off that discovery call, the previous
Yep.
process that has made us
Mm-hmm.
all the revenue that we've made up until this point has
Yeah.
been Joshua and I hop off. We
Mm-hmm.
review the transcript from
Right.
whether it's Fathom or whatever we're using
Right.
tool at the time, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we manually create a 2 page Google Doc which is a custom
Right.
game plan. And it's
Right.
based, each sentence in that 2-page Google Doc
Mhm.
is structured around sales psychology, making sure that
Yep.
the client feels, the prospect feels that we understand their problem as well as they do, if not better. And if you get that
Correct.
wrong, you're not going to close a deal. And so we hop
Yep.
off and we have to spend hours, myself and Joshua,
Mhm.
and sometimes we have to do it a day or two later where we don't even
Mhm.
remember what was said on that call because our calendar is
Right.
slammed. Right. So we're
Right.
like trying to
Yep.
remember everything that happened. And if we get the Google Doc wrong, it's just a 2-page document. If we
Yep.
don't get that dialed in to 100% accuracy to where you
Mhm.
feel like I know and understand your problem and my solution is the only solution, you cannot move
Yep.
forward in your business unless you work
Yep.
with me. If that's not the
Right.
case, you're not going to spend $25,000 with me, obviously.
Correct. Yep.
So it's a very meticulous, precise Google Doc.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
if you get
And
it
how
wrong,
long does it take you? Like, how long is it? Like, sales calls usually, what is it, like 1 hour?
a discovery call will go from anywhere from like 30 minutes to an hour. And then we have
Okay.
to go back and create the Google Doc
Yeah.
manually from the transcript from the
Yeah.
call, and that can take anywhere
Yeah.
from 1 to 3 hours. Myself and Joshua, like manually
Mm.
building it all out, and then we
Right.
usually send it if it's a deal that we know is like going to be a home run, and the Google Doc is the only thing that's going to make or break that close. We send it
Right.
to our mentor who taught us this process.
Mhm.
He reviews it, gives us his
Right.
feedback, and then we have to adjust again. So this could be
Correct.
anywhere
Yep.
from like a 1 to like 6 hour process over the course of days to close
Correct.
one deal.
Yeah. Right.
Insert copy, pause,
Mhm.
right? What we did is we took the entire training revolving around
Mhm.
how to formulate the Google Doc. We took
Right.
previous Google Docs that closed
Mhm.
deals that
Yep.
were reviewed by our mentor,
Mhm.
and other assets. I forget what other assets, but we gave it
Yeah.
everything that we needed, and we're like, and by the way, anybody who's watching or
Mhm.
listening, we tried this with custom GPTs. We tried
Yeah.
this with other AI systems, and
Yeah.
we wasted hours and hours and hours because ultimately
Yeah.
what the output ended up being was we still had, it was only at best, it was like 60% there. And then
Right.
if you have to go through this process with something that AI built for you, it ends
Mhm.
up being more time consuming than just starting from scratch,
Correct. Yeah.
fixing everything that AI did, because now you have information in your head that you don't need, and it's more work.
Yeah.
So fast forward, we trained Poppy on this, we tested it,
Mhm.
and we didn't even get a chance to send it to our mentor, by the way, who we pay
Mhm.
$25K a year to
Right.
coach us, right?
Right.
We didn't even get a chance to send it to him because we had a sales call an hour after we built out the pod.
Right.
We took this Google Doc to that sales call, and that Google
Mhm.
Doc was 99% dialed in before we had to hop on the sales call. We just added a couple little tweaks, and it closed a
Yeah.
$75,000 deal for us that wouldn't have closed, I don't think, because of how time crunched we were. If we tried to put that Google
Right.
Doc together ourselves, we would not have closed that deal.
Wow.
And Poppy did
There
all
you
the
go.
work.
Mic drop. Mic drop. Poppy did all of the work for a deal that made you guys $75,000. And how long
Yep.
did it take for Poppy to give it to you?
Oh, I mean, we threw in all the assets and stuff, but like it's instant.
Seconds?
It's AI.
Minutes?
Yeah, 30 seconds.
How long
maybe?
did it take for you guys to like put that board together?
I don't know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Right. And then
I already
you guys
had all
can
the assets.
basically
I knew what I needed to train it on because I had
Correct.
I've created close to 100 Google Docs manually over the past
Yeah.
year.
Right. And then you've tried this with custom GPTs and other AI tools as well.
It was useless. It made my job more difficult. It didn't make it easier.
Right. And now you can basically use this exact same system over and over and
Yep.
over
I can
again
pump
for
out
every
Google Doc
other sales call.
instantly I literally just have to take the transcript, the entire transcript
Yeah.
of the sales call. I don't even have to review
Yeah.
the sales call. Nothing.
Yep.
I just
Yep.
throw the transcript into Poppy, and it spits out a 99% dialed in Google Doc for me every single time. And then I just have to review the work, make a couple little changes from my own personal preference,
Yeah.
and get on the second call and close the deal and collect the cash. And that's just one use case, bro. I told you, you know, after that, we're like, okay, if it can do it for that,
Yeah.
then like the other thing that we do is once we close the deal, we have an entire contract. We're talking about 25,
Yeah.
75K deals. Our contract is like
Right.
12 pages long. We're like, oh shit,
Right.
if it can do this for the Google Doc, 2 page, let's push
Hmm.
it to its limit. Let's see if it can do it for the contracts.
Right.
My
And
contracts,
how did that go?
my contracts are now, I'd say 3 to 5 times tighter legally
Hmm. Yeah.
because I was like, well, if we're going to do it, we might as well really make it even better.
Correct.
So we haven't
Yep.
revisited our contracts with our clients since the beginning. There's a lot of things that need to be
Mm.
updated. There's a lot of
Yep.
new stuff, like new things you can do with the advancements in AI. So our
Hmm.
contract is like way better than it was before, and it works.
Yeah.
So like same concept,
Yeah.
trained it on what our previous contracts are. We give it
Yeah.
the game plan Google Doc now, and we give
Yeah.
it the transcript from the call. We give
The
it everything
transcript.
that it needs to know about the sales
Right.
from
Yeah.
the initial interaction with the client to what has been
Hmm.
agreed upon on that final closing call, right?
Yeah.
And we give it the onboarding call transcript.
Right.
So we create the contract. So we try to create the contract after the onboarding call because it makes it even more dialed in. But sometimes people are like, okay, I want the contract before we onboard and pay. So,
Yeah.
but either way, absolutely incredible. And these are just the first two things where I was like, okay, let me see if I can use this thing to buy back some time and make my life easier. I haven't even
Yeah.
begun. Like, you know what projects we
Hmm.
have already that we
Yeah.
plan
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
rolling out with Poppy. And these are just little projects.
Yeah. And now you guys are planning. So you guys are currently using it to help close deals, write contracts. What else are you guys currently using or like planning on using Poppy for?
Well, you know, one of our big projects is
Hmm.
we want to push it to its limit again, right? And so now we
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
purchase the lifetime API access, and we haven't
Yeah.
even used that yet. We've been just using it as
Yeah.
an internal tool. And
Right.
ultimately, I want to build out systems with Poppy as the foundation, using
Hmm.
NAN and, you know,
Yeah.
webhooking out to other systems to
Yeah.
create of maybe a viral organic content generation machine, like literally from A to
Hmm.
Z, where Poppy can
Yeah.
generate the scripts. We can use
Hmm.
NAN to webhook it out, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And then ultimately the end result is viral organic content posted to social media automatically.
Yeah.
Copyright and trademark pending. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, hey, you can white label that entire product, sell it as like a SaaS, but in the
Yep,
back end, it's like powered by Poppy, you know?
absolutely. Yep.
And so
And
this is
ultimately, it makes
insane.
me
Like,
more money outside of the
yeah.
system itself. And maybe I white label it and I turn it into a SaaS. That's great. Fine. Cool.
Yeah.
MRR. Maybe I charge $100 a month. Maybe I charge $300 a month. That's all well and good.
Yeah.
But here's the other
Hmm.
thing. Everything that
Hmm.
I'm going to build with Poppy is to give me more
Yeah.
leverage to get my clients better results. So if
Correct.
I'm building out
Yeah.
sales infrastructures for people that convert leads, and then I just
Hmm.
hand them an AI system that can generate more leads for them organically on autopilot
Yeah.
without them having to know how to go viral, without them having to
Yeah.
never posted or gotten a like on Instagram in their life.
Yeah.
How powerful do you
All
think
of a
that is? How
sudden,
valuable does that make my
oh,
flagship offer?
all of a sudden, the value goes from like quantifiable to almost like infinite.
Yeah,
It's like
exponential
hard to
for sure.
quantify. It's like that valuable.
Yeah. So the initial 90 days is like, let's build out this AI system for your existing sales process. But now once
Yeah.
that's built out, how'd you like to put some rocket fuel on your lead generation without having to lift a finger?
Oh man, this is insane. This is absolutely insane.
Yeah, man.
And we're just still scratching the surface. Like we haven't literally gone like bazooka crazy with like all the systems you could possibly build. And like
No.
we're just like it's like the basic API. Like
Dude,
everything is
Poppy
still
is so
basic.
powerful, bro. I'm telling you right now. Like, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but Poppy is so powerful that I
Huh.
just told all my clients and my team that
Yeah.
I am taking a week off to only focus on building shit out in Poppy. Like everything else in my entire business is going to be on hold for an entire week because if I dedicate a
Holy
week to
shit.
just Poppy, I'm
Yeah.
gonna 3 to 5x my business at minimum over the course of the next 60 to 90 days.
Holy fuck. That is insane. Like, you're literally putting your entire business on hold just to build systems with Poppy, and it's that powerful. Like,
Yeah.
you have been in this space with automations and systems way before even AI existed. You were literally building algorithms before AI came out. Like,
Mhm.
from your perspective, how is Poppy powerful compared to literally like all the other AI tools out there? Like, I remember, like you mentioned, Naz, you've invested, I don't know, like crazy amounts of money. Like, you can say how much you've invested in AI tools.
Yeah.
And then, like, what makes Poppy so powerful compared to all of these?
Yeah, I mean, we were one of the first voice AI agency license holders with Air AI. We spent,
Yeah.
multiple five figures on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so ultimately, to answer your question, though, I mean, we spent, I don't know, at least a couple $100,000. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But to answer your question, though, the reason that Poppy is so powerful is
Yeah.
when you create custom GPTs, you use large language models and try to create something custom for yourself, you're using all of the information and knowledge that the language model is trained on.
Right.
Knowledge is benign, right? Everybody says knowledge is power.
Mhm.
Knowledge is benign. It's the
Right.
assimilation
Mhm.
of that knowledge where the power lies.
Right.
And ultimately, what
Mhm.
Poppy does is it gives you the leverage to be
Yeah.
able to hyper focus in on an output rather than
Yeah.
the information, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
If I wanted my custom GPT
Yeah.
to do what Poppy does for me, I would literally
Mhm.
have to spend hours, I would say weeks, part time at least, really like testing and
Wow.
iterating and dialing it in. And you, again, also, like, that's all that being said, plus you don't know what you don't know if you're doing something like this, right? So like,
Yeah.
I have a
Mhm.
lot of experience and I still couldn't get it to
Yeah.
do what I needed it to do. Why?
Yeah.
Because foundationally it's not built it's not built for mastery. It's like
Right.
large language models. Here's a very good frame to view all this from. Large
Mhm.
language models are built to be a jack of all trades, master of none.
Mhm.
Poppy is built to leverage that information to be a master of
Yeah.
whatever you try to build with.
Oh shit. It's like Poppy is jack of all trade and master of all trades as well.
As soon as you point it in the right direction, you can go from
Yeah.
white belt to black belt in the shortest amount of time possible.
Wow.
That's
So
that right there is that's your next ad.
exactly. I'm gonna clip this. I'm like, yo, if you want to take your knowledge and go from white belt to black belt, Poppy is the one for you. And
Because it knows how to assimilate the knowledge without
yeah,
hallucinating.
yes. And that's a trademark, guys. It's a secret. We're not gonna tell you how that works, but hey, we don't
Yep.
hallucinate.
I spent whatever I spent, multiple thousands of dollars on the API.
Yeah.
And I mean, as you guys can see, I've already, I don't
I
even
mean, you
know,
made
but
more than 10x, 20,
yeah,
25x basically.
yeah, in the first week.
Yeah. And you
And I
haven't even
haven't
like
even
actually
leveraged
used the
it.
power of APIs.
So literally, as whatever your lowest monthly subscription fee is or your lowest annual plan,
Yeah.
everyone who's listening and watching, like just go buy that. I don't money back guarantee. Build something out to
Yeah.
make you a lot of money. It's gonna make you a
Yeah.
lot of money if you know how to make money.
Yeah.
Like
You're gonna
this,
make a lot more money.
yeah. That's the other thing about Poppy. Poppy took me from
Yeah.
I know how to make money, but
Mhm.
now I feel like Peter Parker that just got bit by the fucking spider, dude. Like now I have superpowers with my ability to make money.
Yes. Yeah. And it's what I was gonna say is with Poppy, you make a lot of money. And I think we are also marketing for the wrong people.
Maybe.
It's like
I think you could charge
hey,
a
this
lot
is
more
not
if you were focused on the ROI.
definitely exactly. And then the second thing is Poppy is not just for content creators and marketers.
No, I may not ever get around to using it for that, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's not the highest ROI for me of my
Yeah.
time in Poppy. Like I may not
Yep.
even have the bandwidth to use it for that.
Yeah. Exactly. You're literally using it for like something that we did not even prescribe anywhere.
Yeah.
You-
Well,
like
like I said,
it's
that's something I do. Like
Exactly. That's what
Like
I was
the
gonna say.
reason
It's
that
like
my
your
e-commerce business
God-given
is so
gift.
successful, dude, is because I took a
Yeah.
product that was already viral on like AliExpress and stuff, and I just
Yeah.
rebranded it. Like, you
Yep.
know those long sleeve like romper things that like sexy rompers that were always marketed for on like Instagram and stuff, and people were selling them for
Uh-huh.
like, like maybe $10 or less because you could get them on
Uh-huh.
AliExpress for like 5. I was selling them for
Yeah.
$40, but I branded them as booty pajamas, and I was marketing them on meme
Oh.
accounts on
Yeah.
Instagram. And so like the meme said, it was a picture of the girl in the
Yeah.
romper, and it said, "If Bay doesn't buy
Yeah.
you booty pajamas, is he even really Bay?" That one meme that I
Mm,
made
yeah.
millions, and it's just because
Wow.
I repurposed something to make it more valuable.
Exactly. And you basically took this AI tool that's like promoted for
Same thing.
content creators and marketers, and
Yep.
you made 75K in
Repurposed
like
it to make
a
it more
month.
valuable.
Exactly. So, who would you say, from your perspective, Poppy is valuable or worthful?
I mean, the most value that Poppy has, from my experience,
Hmm.
is for people like me. Like, if you're
Hmm.
selling high ticket, um,
Yeah.
ultimately, let's put it this way. Let's bring it
Hmm.
down to like a principle based instead of just Poppy. Let's just talk about
Yeah.
like principles of
Yeah.
entrepreneurship and service,
Hmm.
right? If
Yeah.
you solve the problem of the wealthy, they will make you one of them.
So, if you want to be wealthy, you should help the wealthy, and you become one
The
of them.
reason why people pay me 25K and up is because I
Yeah.
solve very expensive problems for
Right.
people with a lot of money.
Right.
And so, you know, based on my use case, I mean, you can even ask Poppy,
Hmm.
load the transcript of this. Here you go.
Yeah.
You use your own tool to to
Yeah.
to to tap into a higher paying market. Here's exactly what you do. Take my use
Yep.
case, load it on all the information that you already know and understand about how Poppy is valuable, and then tell
Yep.
Poppy, give me 10 use cases for how
Hmm.
Poppy can do what Kevin did in his business across
Yep.
different industries that charge
Hmm.
tens of thousands of dollars for their service. And now,
Yeah.
as long as you can solve that problem, you have,
Yeah.
roofers, people that build decks. It could be anyone.
Right. Yeah.
If they
Wow.
charge a
That
lot of
is,
money and you can solve a
yeah.
problem that saves them time or makes them more money, because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, we're all paying with one of two things. It's our time or our money.
Correct.
Save them
Yep.
one or the other, and the more they charge, the more of
Yep.
a result you're going to
You
get.
can chart. Yeah. Wow. That is so crazy. It's like this is like I've done like these like case study videos, and usually it's more focused on like creating content or like around this.
Yep.
This is the first one where I did. It's like, hey, I literally used Poppy for like something that you guys did not even specify, and I was able to make more money than like probably everyone that currently uses Poppy. And what this tells me is like, hey, what you can learn from Kevin is like, you did not look at from like a kind of like a narrow minded view or like a narrow sighted. You basically looked at Poppy and you were like, what can I do with Poppy? And you
Yep.
just like used it
I
for
treated
everything.
Poppy
Like
like a
that's kind
blank
of
canvas. I came into
exactly.
Poppy and treated it like a blank canvas, and I'm like, how can I paint a
Yeah.
masterpiece with this thing?
And you did a really good masterpiece with it.
And the other thing that I would say is, I forgot to
Yeah.
mention to you, because we've both been
Uh-huh.
so busy, but the other thing that I'm going to do is, currently right now, Joshua and I we're going all in on WAP, and Iman Gadzhi just
Oh.
shouted us out as being #1 on his leaderboard for a challenge he's running right now. And I just
Oh.
realized in the moment, in this call, I'm actually going to use Poppy to, we're launching a clipping agency, and one of our first clients is
Mhm.
going to be somebody like, we're already in talks. It's somebody like Tony
Mhm.
Robbins big. It's not Tony Robbins, but it is somebody on that level. They're going to be our first
Okay.
clipping client. And
Okay.
what I'm going to do, actually, now that we're talking about this, because I was like thinking about what the other use cases are while we were talking about
Yeah.
it, I'm going to use Poppy to basically create guidelines and criteria so that as many
Yeah.
clippers as I have in my agency, like
Yeah.
on my clipping army, can be
Mhm.
as successful as everyone else ultimately, right? So to get better clipping results for my clients by using Poppy
Right.
to create uh, leverage for those clippers with what to say in the clips and stuff, like user generated content and stuff like that.
That is gonna be insane because there is another similar story that we had with Poppy. It was also for a content agency, Ryan McGinn's team. They also use Poppy. I mean, everybody knows Ryan McGinn, like they literally work with all the top podcasters with the help of Poppy. So you are basically going to use it to like build like SOPs for the Clippers, right? What
No,
they
I'm
do,
going to build a system so that they can pump out content quicker with less.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But,
So
yeah. All right, go ahead. Sorry. Now you got me thinking
no,
about
no,
other shit.
no. That's
I'm
what we
already
do.
in the
You know, we
process
give you
of
more
building
ideas.
something out, like our podcast, Entrepreneurship Sucks
Yeah,
podcast. We
yeah,
interview maybe like 3 to 5, 1 to 3 entrepreneurs a week.
yeah,
We've had 2 comma 100x award winners. Like our network has gotten pretty high level pretty quickly.
yeah.
And the other
I
thing
mean,
that
when
we'll
you get
do is,
Iman Gaji shouting you guys
it,
out, like, "Hey, everybody
yeah,
starts paying attention to you guys,"
yeah,
you know?
yeah, dude, we started getting DMs and like phone calls of like, dude, Iman Ghazi just shouted you out. We didn't even know.
Fuck yeah,
And not just shouted
dude,
us
that
out, but
is
he's like,
sick.
these guys are number 1 on the leaderboard, about to win a
Yeah.
Bugatti in my challenge. That was the shout out.
So we're gonna
Yeah.
literally, we might see you in a Bugatti pretty soon then.
Yeah. And so the
Yeah.
other thing that is actually being built on the back end, I forgot,
Uh-huh.
is we're taking all of the manual labor that goes into the podcast post production and building out
Yes.
an NAN system for that as well. So now, as soon as we wrap up a podcast interview, we don't have
Yeah.
to do anything post production. We're setting up the
Oh.
NAN and Poppy stuff to create the titles, to create the YouTube thumbnails, to upload
Yeah.
it all to the podcast platforms, put all the information that they put in the form, like what their social links are, what their bio is, do all the
Yeah.
timestamps on the podcast to put it on YouTube, like
Mhm.
all of it.
Okay, Kevin, all of this sounds crazy. And I'm gonna ask you something.
Yeah.
Those who are watching this video, let's say they end up buying Poppy, right?
Mhm.
One is I'm gonna put you guys' links and everything down here so they can like get in touch with you guys and build their own systems as well. But what I would love to do is let's set a goal for like this video. Like if this video gets X number of likes, will you reveal the secrets? Will you reveal the systems that you've built for other Poppy users?
Yeah. So here's what we'll do is I think that
Okay.
the system that would be most applicable to the largest
Right.
audience would be the
Mhm.
podcast system. And I have no
Exactly.
intention of repurposing that for any, like, I'm not going to turn it into a SaaS. I'm just going to
Yeah.
I'm just going to give it to all the other people that are in my mastermind and coaching program because it'll help them. But I have no intention
Yep.
of producing revenue with it. So
Yeah.
when it's done,
Yeah.
I'll just give the NAN like share template and all the assets
Mhm.
necessary to be able to just use Poppy and do what I do with it with Poppy. And you can just, as long as you have a Poppy subscription and you sign up for
Yeah.
NAN, you can do exactly what we built with it.
Okay. And then if this video gets, say, 50 likes, because I know we have to set a really low bar because this is going on Poppy's channel. We just have 1,000 subscribers. Let's say if this video gets let's say it gets 50 likes, we'll make a video of showing how that entire system was built. And then you can go build that system for yourself, and not just for yourself. Let's say you want to start your own clipping agency. You can literally use this system and build a clipping agency for yourself, right?
Yep. So the podcast stuff is the one that I'm going to show, just so we're clear.
Okay, perfect. Yep, 100%. Yeah, we don't want to reveal the trade secrets. Whatever is making you money, that definitely needs to keep generating.
The clipping
US.
agency is pretty complex stuff. I have like a team of like 4 people working on that right now. But the podcast stuff is something that somebody can sit down and do themselves.
Perfect.
If you're a solopreneur,
right.
you have a podcast, you'll be able to have a system to be able to do a lot of the manual stuff that goes into getting your podcast out there with the system that we're talking about here.
Dude, this was sick, and this is crazy, and this is amazing because we just opened up a whole new avenue, a whole new basically industry to come experience Poppy. And Kevin is just one of the very earliest users who have done this. which, I feel really honored that I'm getting to talk to you. So
Dude,
yeah,
I'm
man.
happy to be here. I'm humbled, man. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for hopping on. And, if you're watching this video, again, the links are all in the description. If you want to sign up for Poppy, sign up. We have a 30-day money back guarantee. So if you end up not liking it,
Yeah,
and
you won't need it.
you can get it, you won't need it. Exactly. So yeah, click the link below, sign up, and then, we'll go from there.